Don't do your job, so I have to work loads of unplanned overtime, have fun filling my shoes. I worked for the fastest growing home security and automation company in Canada and USA a few years ago. It starts with V and ends with int. It was a job I loved, and I regret quitting, to this day. After spending a summer as an install tech, in which I had half the service tickets of the next best person in the office, and 90% of my tickets were the result of one incompetent coworker who frequently helped me, I got a permanent position as a service tech. This was a job I loved, was great at, and was reasonably fast despite providing exceptional first-time fix rates, customer service, and upsales. Service was almost identical to being an install tech, except 90% of my work was fixing or removing systems, instead of installing them. Enter my manager, I'll call him Vinny, not his real name. Vinny had been with the company 3 or 4 years longer than me. He hired me for the permanent position, after a recommendation from my summer manager. The only problem, the new manager was a classic fulfillment of the Peter principle. He had been promoted beyond his level of competence. My first 3 weeks were training, and Vinny put me with my team lead, TL, who happened to be a guy I grew up with. By day 2, I had already learned all the service tech software tools that techs didn't have access to, and was ready to be on my own. I literally didn't learn anything new for the rest of the 3 weeks. The problem was that Vinny had not set up my employee profile yet. Fair enough. I'll wait. On day 3, my TL and I went to a customer's home to remove their system. TL just wanted to rip it out and go home. I listened to the customer, and it sounded like she didn't feel the system protected her the way she wanted. So I upsold her $1,800 worth of equipment, which we installed immediately. That's a $600 commission. The problem, this ticket, which should have been mine, was not mine because my profile was not set up yet. TL took the credit and got the $600 commission and treated me to McDonald's as a reward. 3 weeks pass, and Vinny still hasn't set up my employee profile. So I started hounding him. Finally, on Friday, he says he'll get it set up by next Monday, 4 weeks from hire. He calls me 2 hours later to say that it's done and I'll be on my own, taking my own tickets on Monday. Great news. So Monday comes and I'm on my own, finally. New problem, none of the software tools are working for me. I end up having to call into the software support center on almost every fusing ticket. This, of course, makes me take more time to complete everything from then on. So, for 4 to 5 days each week, I end up working 1 to 4 hours of overtime, when I should have been getting home early 90% of the time, based on my workload. 5 months into this shitshow, my church, which was the same faith as Vinny's and TL's, holds a major regional activity for singles in my age group, with about 2 weeks' notice, on a Friday. For the first week after the announcement, I'm so busy with work that I completely forgot to ask to get the day off for the event. So, at lunch on Friday, a week before the event, I emailed Vinny to make the request, so that I wouldn't forget again. Vinny calls me at the end of day on Monday, saying I need to reassign or reschedule all of my tickets for that day, which is actually Vinny's job, and then I can have the day off. But there's a catch, one ticket cannot be rescheduled. I had visited that consumer the week before, the last ticket of the day. She had had a huge clusterfuck of problems with her system for 3 months and, with my software tools still not working, it would take me around 2 full days of work to resolve all of those issues, even after the 4 hours I had already spent there. Despite it not being my job to do so, I managed to reschedule most of my tickets for the following week. But I called everyone in my office, including my TL, and nobody would take that one ticket. I called Vinny twice that week to tell him that nobody would take the ticket. I even offered to pay my coworkers $50 out of my own pocket, on top of their regular pay. I found out that one of my coworkers had rescheduled that ticket, which is why it ended up on my plate. With each phone call, Vinny kept saying it's your responsibility to find someone to take that ticket and you cannot reschedule it. So, Thursday night, at 8 p.m., having been unsuccessful in finding anyone to take the ticket, I left a voicemail on Vinny's phone that I would not be coming into work the next morning and would, in fact, not be coming in at all. Vinny called 20 minutes later, saying he rescheduled the ticket, I could have the day off, and begged me to at least finish out the 2 weeks. I told him that I'd only finish out the 2 weeks if I could rescind my notice. He refused, so I said, then we have nothing else to discuss. Click. 6 weeks later, he got fired. Fuck him. I heard from former coworkers that he had basically been quietly quitting. He had been building a house in another city an hour away and was basically just collecting paychecks as long as he could. And as for my TL, that got my $600 commission, he refused to give me a reference, despite me being a phenomenal employee in spite of Vinny's bullshit. Fuck him, too. I heard he quit and moved to England to go to Oxford. It didn't pan out, and he got divorced and is working some crap entry-level job now, ha ha ha, back here in Canada. To this day, I regret quitting. I have a friend who worked the same role in another office. He eventually got stationed in Hawaii for 5 years and loved every minute of it. That job would have been a great career option for me, had Vinny not been such a selfish, incompetent asshat.